Hey, I'm really glad you're here today. Today, I want to talk about fear and how to make fear your companion as you move through life. Because fear is going to come up. It's just going to come up. I think it's part of who we are as far as physical beings. We're sort of hardwired to feel fear whenever some part of you decides that you might be in danger. And it could be that we're afraid of our boss, so it's not really the danger we used to be in when lions and tigers and bears were after us. But, um, fear is something that you can make your companion. And it's interesting because I have a way that I'm able to focus in and see exactly what the fear is physically so that I can just watch it, that I'll teach you by the end of this video. But I had a friend who went through a sweat lodge in Mexico recently. And the shaman told everyone in that sweat lodge, I'm pretty sure, but he took it to heart, make fear your companion. And, don't let it stop you. Just bring it along. Like, hey, here we go. Okay, you're there, but let's go anyway. And I thought that was really interesting because I know that this friend of mine, has had, a whole lifetime of fear. Like, to the point where he couldn't do things at certain times in his life because that fear was so overwhelming. And he has, in many ways, made that fear his companion. So, anyway, let me get to the point where I'm telling you how I face fear and move forward anyway. So I know from my own experience that fear is nothing more than a wave of energy. And I'm going to connect this in a weird way to when I started going through menopause. So just hang in there. It makes sense. You'll see. So I'm all over the place, but I'll pull it together at the end, I swear. All right. When I was young, if I was embarrassed or humiliated, I felt this wave of heat, like my body was on fire, just moving through me. And I knew that was in deep fear and something terrible must be happening around me. And so I would look around and try to find what is it that's causing this terrible thing. And then I would try to run away from it or avoid it or whatever I could do, which also, didn't really work. But it was like a big alarm going off in my head. When I started to have menopause, those hot flashes felt exactly the same way as I felt when I was a little kid and I was being embarrassed. Like I was in the middle of the sensation of feeling embarrassed or humiliated. And when I first started to get those hot flashes, I would look around like, what's going on? There's nothing going on. Why do I feel like this? And it was the hot flash, which is wild. But it also gave me the awareness that fear, at least that intense level of fear, was nothing more than a physical sensation. And then later on in my life, when I faced a really big change that I made a decision to go through, that kind of fear started to wave up through me. And instead of me trying to look for a story to give it, like there's got to be a story connected to this, there's got to be something real going on. No, I just went, oh, where did that sensation start? And I would notice that it started in my belly, and then I would notice that it moved up and into my chest. And if I kept breathing, I would watch it move all the way out the top of my head. And different people that I've worked with will tell me that it's in different places, but it does move. It'll move through the body and then up and out. And the real challenge is to stay focused on it as a physical sensation and not to give it a story. So that's the way I move through fear. That's the way I'm able to notice the sensation, and instead of deciding it means something, because these days it's just a mess. Everything around you can cause fear, and everyone in our world, at least in the US, and I'm sure in many other countries, is under like a constant sense of anxiety and fear, because we just feel so insecure and unsure of our lives and what's going on, and we're constantly being fed nothing but fear through all the news feeds and everything. So, just to, the next time you feel some kind of fear, notice where it starts. Where do you feel it immediately? And then just watch it. Watch it move through you, because it may have started as I have a story, you should be afraid, but it's not real. It's just a physical sensation moving through you. And if you sit and be present with it and allow it to move, you can even use your breath to allow it to move like more easily through you, then it will lift up and out, and you will be back in a place of peace. And when you're in a place of peace, it's easy to make the next choice or the next decision, and not make that decision based on a fear that has a story that you may or may not have made up, but it has no basis in the reality you're trying to create in your world. Okay, that's it. If you have any questions about it, write them in the comments. I'm happy. I answer those comments all the time. And if you want to work with me, there's a link in the description. And until the next video, I'll talk to you soon.